Hi and welcome to another edition of OnSide SA, where we'll be talking about last one standing. The fixtures this weekend, we've got internationals and friendlies and no Premier League, no Championship in fact, and we go down to League One for some of our games, and there's some games in South Africa as well. But the last one saying that dragged out has finally been won.
Yeah, after 15 weeks, Paul. You know, I spoke to Bradley Parker and Henry Nordie on Friday, just saying
they had no teams left.
They had no teams left, so I gave them 5 difficult fixtures to pick. They both agreed. They gave me their selections, and Henry won it. But there's a major thanks to Bradley Parker, yeah, sporting all the way through.
That's right.
And you know, now the guys are going to have to face Henry. He'll be in fine voice.
Well played, Henry. Well played, China. Okay, let's look at the main one, the big one. And this has really been dropping. I can't believe how the numbers are coming down. We're now left with 27 out of 60, Budge.
Yeah, from 3 weeks, Paul. 450 to 27, of which you are one.
Of which I am one. Those goats that I put in are all gone. But just to have a look, the guys who went and who could win it. Budge, Kevin Rice has got 2 and Jared Werner's got 2.
Yeah, they started with a few more, but they've got 2 left.
Code favourite Richard Pillay. Is that because of his selections?
Yeah, just because of his selections. Richard's box clever. So he's still got the big fish. A lot of guys have used either Man City or Liverpool. Richard's got them both to use, plus Arsenal. So at the moment, but the way the results have been going, Paul, anything is possible.
So 27 to 60. Looks like we'll be on a new one very soon, the way this is going, because the teams that went out this week were Man United, Chelsea, and Newcastle.
Chelsea, that late goal.
Own goal.
28 of them, yeah.
Yeah, own goal. So that's last one standing. Excellent. Make sure you get your bets into Budge on time. Now, we should have Stevie B on the line. He's not in the studio, but he is in London. Steve, you there?
I am. Good morning.
Morning, Steve. Nice to hear from you. And we've got some interesting show topics because the deadline, international deadline, has come and gone.
Yeah, Steve, I saw United Arsenal offloading a few players.
Yes, yeah, we thought they might. I mean, obviously, there were some of the big names that they were banning about that might go didn't in the end. Yeah. I think some of those deals are a bit too complicated, but yes, you know, I'm not at all surprised. So I think United and Arsenal, you know, wanted to get some of their I would say deadwood is probably a little bit unkind, but high wages off the payroll.
Yeah. One of the interesting ones that went through the signings, I saw Chicharito or Javier Fernandez go from West Ham to Seville. Why would he want to go there?
Yeah, he was quite keen to leave.
Okay.
And I think sort of went with their blessing. You know, he hasn't quite fired in the Premier League for West Ham. You know, scored a few goals, but not enough. And I think, you know, having sort of strengthened their forward line, bringing in Haller, I think they decided that they would let him go. And I think that Spain was sort of a preferred option for him. So, you know, it probably suits all parties.
Yeah. With the Neymar deal not going through, I see Mauro Icardi, the guy that Ancelotti didn't want. I see he's gone to PSG on loan.
Yeah, that one I was slightly surprised about. I mean, I'm not surprised the fact that Neymar deal didn't go through because at no time did I think they or Barcelona quite agree on the various conditions, because they weren't in a position to offer sort of cash in full, and the players that were sort of banded around didn't necessarily want to go to PSG, so I think that wasn't going to happen. But Icardi scored a few goals for Milan, so having said that, obviously they've strengthened Milan and they brought players in, so you know, I guess it strengthens PSG. I mean, they're going to walk the French league again, one assumes, but you know, whether or not they're going to do it, it's in the Champions League, which is, I guess, what they're after at the moment remains to be seen.
Yeah, well, I see they signed Keylor Navas. He seemed to be Real Madrid's lucky goalkeeper, so maybe that'll change their fortunes.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, again, it's you know, he'd been there a long time, and he'd done. You know, I thought he'd done sort of well at Real, but again, you know, Zidane obviously didn't fancy him, so you know, I guess, and that's a good move for him. You know?
Yeah, I see Real Madrid never. Steve, Real Madrid didn't sign anybody. Bruno Fernandes, there's quite a few guys. Eriksen linked, nothing went through.
Yeah, no, you know, and it's interesting because there was no question. I mean, the Pogba deal wasn't going to happen after the end of the UK's transfer window. So I'm not sure that they've strengthened enough. I mean, Hazard, obviously, is an exceptional player, but apart from that, they haven't brought anybody else in. So I'm slightly surprised. Zidane is really going to have to make do with the players that he didn't fancy, but he's now playing, and I see that Gareth Bale played and scored 2 before he got sent off the other day. But so he's going to be starting with players that 2 months ago he basically didn't want.
Yeah, I watched that game, Steve. I tell you what, they're really struggling. Yeah, they're giving every ball in the box looks like they could concede. I think they're in trouble. I don't see him getting to Christmas if the results continue.
Yeah, well, I think it's been an interesting outcome. I mean, Barcelona have not exactly been slaying teams sort of themselves. So, and maybe it's not a bad thing for the Spanish league to have, the sort of Sevilles and Atletico sort of up there as well, than either having, Real or Barcelona win it.
Steve, I just wanted to ask you, just going back to transfers and that, Sanchez, how would the deal be structured on the salary he was getting at United?
Well, again, my understanding is that Inter were only prepared to pay about $100,000 a week. So United are going to be
300.
Whatever the difference is, it was going to be several hundred thousand. United are going to be paying it. So he's marginally off their payroll, but still there. Whether or not a deal is going to be done with a view to a permanent transfer, I think that's going to depend on 2 things. One is how well he does there, and how much United want for him. I suspect United would be quite happy to get him off the payroll for a very small fee, because it's the wages that are crippling. But it remains to be seen how well he's going to do that.
Steve, do you see these major signings falling away, especially with the high wages these players are looking for?
Well, I think that I think this is part of the problem. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, obviously Hazard went through early on, but actually, Griezmann as well. But some of the big signings that they were talking about never materialised. And I think you're probably right. I mean, the wages, the transfer fee and the wages combined. I mean, and the wages just add a huge amount. I mean, especially somebody like sort of Sanchez. Wasn't the transfer fees the issue. It's the wages. I mean, you give someone a 5-year contract on £300,000 or £400,000 a week. I mean, it just becomes astronomical.
Yeah. Jeez, very, very interesting there, Steve. But I know when Adebayor came from Man City, we had to Spurs, we had to pay half his wages. Yeah, and Man City paid half.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, City was starting to sort of be one of the first clubs to start paying the crazy wages. Yeah. But I think the other one that didn't go through, and I think obviously we've been talking about sort of the Christian Eriksen situation. There's obviously on the plus side for Tottenham, they kept him, and obviously I think the way they've started, they certainly want him to be playing. But if his mind is made up and he doesn't want to sign a new contract and wants to go, come January he can start talking about leaving in the summer for nothing. So there's a double-edged sword there. Yeah. But I think as things stand, I guess Tottenham are probably happy to keep him for a moment.
All right. Steve, it's international weekend this weekend, and there's games Thursday, which I won't ask you about. The big game is obviously Germany against the Netherlands. How do you see that going?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, last year when they played in the Nations League, Netherlands did exceptionally well. Obviously, beat them convincingly at home, and then came from 2 down to draw in the other game. I think it'll be a close game. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, there are new players on both sides. It'll be interesting to see if the Netherlands can keep this sort of run going. I think there'll be goals. I think it'll be close. Wouldn't surprise me if it's a score draw. Yeah.
Now, Scotland have got a big game. If they don't get a result at home against Russia on Friday, that's them gone. Can you see them upsetting the Russians?
I think that'll be a close game. I mean, obviously Scotland have got sort of two tough games coming up.
Yeah.
I think that's a key game for them. Well, they're in a tough group. I think I can't see them going through. But you never know with Scotland. Sometimes they raise their game against the bigger teams. What's let them down in recent tournaments is against the sort of the mid-ranked teams that they don't seem to put away. I think this will be close. I think that they will hold Russia, but I'm not sure they're good enough to beat them though.
Okay. Now, if you're having a bet on the England game against Bulgaria. The odds, can you see England scoring 4 goals?
I possibility. And I think this is probably one of the tougher games in the group for them. Although we were surprised they put the second fancied team of the Czech Republic and England put 5 past them. I think England will win comfortably. Whether they'll score 4, but I think they'll certainly win by 2 or 3 clear goals. And then again, they play Tuesday. They play Kosovo, who I don't think we've ever played before. But again, I'd be surprised if they didn't win convincingly. So this is England have obviously got these sort of 2 home games. I expect they'll get the points, and they'll be in a comfortable position at the top of the group.
Now, the one game I just looked at now, which could be the upset: Portugal go to Serbia. How do you see that one going on Saturday?
Well, and again, I mean, Serbia, as we know, have got some good players, and obviously, you'd like to think that sort of Mitrovic will start against them. Some of the other players that they've got, Jovic. I mean, they've got some good players, but and in the World Cup they didn't sort of disgrace themselves. A couple of good showings. I think this will be a close game. I don't think Portugal will win away. I think this will be close. It could either be maybe a 1 goal to Serbia or a draw.
All right,
Steve, a quick question for you. Of all these teams playing in all these competitions, there's only one country that's got the word love in its name, in order, L-O-V-E. Which country is it?
The only thing I can say, Steve, it's got an S in front of it. Is it Slovenia?
Slovenia it is.
Yes, Slovenia.
Well done, boys. Well done. I'm proud of you.
Steve, on to League One. We've got the fixtures in our soccer pools. The Wimbledon derby, MK Dons, AFC Wimbledon. How do you call that?
Well, I mean, it's a grudge match. I mean, there is no love lost between the teams. Obviously, they have played each other a few times now.
Yeah.
MK Dons. I mean, neither team are having a particularly good season. AFC haven't won yet. A couple of draws. MK Dons doing a little better. I think MK Dons should just sneak that one. Won't be much in it. Probably by a goal.
Yeah. The Yorkshire derby, Doncaster, Rotherham.
Again, neither team doing particularly well. Rotherham seem to be really struggling. Can't seem to score goals. I think they've scored about 4 all season. I think Doncaster at home might just be a little bit too strong, but it's going to be a pretty low-scoring affair, I would think.
Okay. Bristol Rovers versus Accrington Stanley.
Stanley.
Yes, I think Rovers just probably be a little bit too strong for them. I think they'll win that one at home.
All right. Coventry City. Now, see, they're playing all their home games at St Andrews, Birmingham's ground.
On a golf course.
Yes, because they're in dispute with the owners of the Ricoh Arena, so they're having to travel. And it hasn't sort of affected them too much because they're unbeaten this season, 1-3 and drawn 3.
Yeah.
In fact, they were involved in an amazing game a couple of weeks ago. You may have seen they were playing away at Portsmouth. They were 3-1 down to 9 men, and they came back to score 2 late goals to get a draw. I think and Blackpool under new ownership, sort of
after the Oysters,
their form has been revitalised a little bit. I think this will be a very close game. I think this could well be a score draw. Steve,
is that the guy's Mark Robbins, the guy who saved Sir Alex Ferguson's job? Is he still in charge at Coventry?
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's Mark Robbins. Yeah, the very same.
Who was that famous guy? Hill, somebody Hill. He always had a beard and a chin. And
Jimmy Hill.
Jimmy Hill. Yeah, he died.
Jimmy Hill.
He was a Fulham boy, wasn't he?
No, wasn't he Coventry?
Yeah,
wasn't he Coventry?
Well, he was, right. His career as a player was at Fulham. Then he took over and he managed Coventry and got them up to the third division. Right. And then in his later years, he was involved. He was chairman at Fulham for a while again.
Oh, there you go.
He was involved in
Jimmy Hill.
In saving. Jimmy Hill. He used to sit behind me as it happened. So,
is that in class or is that at...
Steve, you know what they say in London? He's behind you.
Indeed, yeah. Well, he was about 3 foot away, but his chin was very close to me.
Talking of chins, see Joey Barton's Fleetwood Town. Do you think they'll be too good for Oxford?
Well, Oxford, they're a funny side, sort of Oxford. Fleetwood, I don't know. It's very difficult to tell with them. I mean, there's, these teams. I think Oxford might sort of stash a point there.
Yeah. Can you believe it? Joey Barton managing a team. And 2 games to go. Tranmere Rovers at home against Gillingham.
Yeah, I mean, Gillingham hadn't won until last week, but they came up against, Bolton before Bolton signed some of their players. So I think Tranmere will be probably a bit too strong for them at home.
Okay, and the last game, Wickham Wanderers, the choir boys of Wickham against Lincoln.
The Noisy Boys.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. That'll be a very good game. I mean, Wickham were unbeaten. Lincoln had a really good start. They've lost a couple of games though, but they're still sort of near the top, and gave Everton a very good game in the EFL Cup.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Lincoln go there and get a result.
Okay. All right, Steve.
Excellento, Stevie. Well, that's all the news there is. We've got a South African soccer to talk about. And how do you think Chiefs will go?
Well, they're a big team, aren't they, the Chiefs? So I think they'll probably win that one.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steve.
Stevie, wonderful talking to you.
Right.
And who have you got in last one standing this week?
Maybe go to Old Trafford and take the Aussies.
Stevie,
Yeah.
cheers, mate. Thanks very much. Eh?
Enjoy.
Okay,
Good
cheers.
luck.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Right, Pudge, always good talking to him.
Yeah,
he's a
knowledgeable man,
font of information. New Bafana coach. What's going on there, Pudge?
Well, Stuart Baxter stood down after we got beat in the AFCON by
He did
Nigeria.
quite well there, I thought.
He did okay.
Yeah.
It's a tough job, Paul. You know, you got all the club managers don't want you to
Poison
use
chalice,
their players.
yeah.
So they've gone the youth route. The guys come through a lot of the junior teams.
Molefi Nseki.
Yeah, so
Was
he hasn't really taken.
Was he a fair player? I don't know.
He's been involved in academies in the
Okay.
past, and the guys are saying it's a cheap route. But if you haven't got any big games coming up, why go and get an experienced coach and pay him 500,000 a month? So,
Jeez, they pay more than that.
Yeah,
In
but,
rands, they pay more than that. Pudge, there's been a game called because of these xenophobic riots.
Xenophobia
Who is it? Zambia, eh?
Yeah, Zambians called it off. So
Good for them.
yeah, you've got to stand up for your rights.
You can't have this rubbish, and then on Saturday, play Madagascar at Orlando Stadium.
That's confirmed. Yeah, Madagascar guys have stood in. So at least the
we
supporters
should
have got,
beat them.
we'll murder them, Paul. We've got all our players. Percy
We've
Tau,
drawn
they're all,
with Cape Verde's before. We've run. Is Percy Tau back at
Yeah,
home?
they got,
He's never been called back into fold at Brighton, has he?
No, he's at Club Brugge. He's been a major force. They're in the Champions League proper now.
So he's done well.
Yeah.
He's done well. Where's the other boy, Dolly? What Rory was?
Keegan Dolly, he's in France.
France, okay. All right. So that was Stuart Baxter's out, and Molefi Nseki is the new coach for the Bafana.
He's in charge.
Yeah, they can get him on a cheap rate, as you say, compared to what they're paying the likes of Egerson and that, they were big money. Right, the Euro qualifiers, you put down some games for tonight.
We've got 7 games on tonight, Paul.
Okay,
And,
have you got them on the sheets here?
Yeah, they haven't got the Thursday because obviously by the time I show flights, the games could be over. But there's some really good games. The Republic of Ireland against Switzerland, that's a big one.
Who does Lafferty play for?
He's Northern Ireland. They've got a friendly. They play on Sunday.
Okay. Finland, Greece, and Romania, Spain, Armenia, Italy.
Yeah.
Italy haven't got back to the major power they
they've
were.
got quite a few players. That Moise Keane, he may be playing. There's rumour he may be out injured, but they've got a lot of young Italians come through. Mancini's in charge, so he's got rid of the back line of Juventus, all the boys. But not the old Italians, Paul. But
these are very important games because they're for Europe.
They've played. There's 8 games in your group, so
has anybody qualified yet?
Not yet. I think the Ukraine's the closest.
Is
and
that
Spain,
right?
They've won 4 of the group.
Not Slovenia.
No.
But let's look at the games.
Yeah,
and I want your opinion on these games because I'm not going to talk about those in order as they come along. And starting on Friday, Cyprus, Kazakhstan.
I like Cyprus. They've improved a lot, Paul, especially at home.
Phil Giorgio's a central defender.
Giorgio's team, yeah.
Yeah, he's from Cyprus.
Kazakhstan away from home. They haven't won any of the last 9 qualifiers. They've lost 7. Yeah, tough game, Paul. I haven't watched either team bar highlights. Cyprus on recent form, but I wouldn't be taking the 12 to 10. Yeah.
Estonia at 22% at home.
Belarus are the better team, better standings, but away from home, Paul, these teams tend to struggle. If I had to have a bet, I'd be on the draw 2-1.
Germany, Netherlands, great game. That's on
brilliant
Friday at 8:45. I'll be watching that.
Definitely. Paul, I fancy the Germans. If they'd had Sane, I think they'd be a lot shorter. Leroy Sane, because the previous
But the Dutch have improved.
Yeah, but they played earlier on, and Germany beat them 3-2 in Holland. And the Germans gave them a bit of a pounding. I like the Germans at home, Paul.
Okay.
Since a disastrous
Have
World
they still
Cup
got the
and
same boy in
Nations
charge,
League.
the guy with
Joachim Low, he's in
Joachim Low
charge.
with a nice hairstyle.
And Netherlands, 9 to 10, Paul, I fancy them.
Scotland, Russia, Stevie seems to think they're a draw at best for Scotland.
Scotland, a lot of young players, Paul, that Bournemouth type, that Ollie McBurney, Sheffield United, they've got a lot of young players. The captain's a left back from Liverpool. 18-10. They won the last 5 home qualifiers.
Yeah.
And, Scotland are one of those nations. When they're underdogs, be careful.
Yeah.
When they're favourites.
They're
but
rubbish.
Russia had a good World Cup. They got to the quarterfinals. They're
Yeah,
impressive
that's
in the
right.
Nations League. I think both teams will score, Paul, but I think a draw would be the right way to go. But never underestimate the Scots, Paul, especially at home.
Okay,
Slovakia, Croatia. Well,
Croatia, good things.
well, they should be, but they've lost their last 3 away qualifiers. Slovakia, there'll be goals. That Marek Hamsik. Slovakia are above them in the group.
Still got the Spurs boy in the middle?
Yeah, they got them all, Paul. But Croatia, for me, 11-10. This game's on. I'll be watching that if I had another TV. But,
You have to come to my
I have
place.
to come
I've
and
got
watch
2.
both games with Germany.
2 TVs in my lounge. Okay, so how are you calling it?
I'm going Croatia.
Yeah, me too.
Goals,
Me too.
yeah. And
Okay.
the team with loving it, Slovenia, they're struggling. Even though they've got the best goalkeeper in Europe, the guy Jan Oblak who plays for Atletico Madrid, I think he's the best.
Germany's still got that big
Yeah,
goalie.
Manuel now, but
He
Ter
good player.
Stegen, they want Ter Stegen in, but now was a captain, so they can't drop him.
Yeah, never make your goalie a captain.
Yeah.
You can't speak to the strikers.
Can't speak to the strikers. You ask David De Gea. But,
Yeah.
Poland, Paul, it's a big game for Poland. They win this, they're almost through. They should be too good for Slovenia. But, when that Jan Oblak in goals, Paul, you just never know. I think it'll be a tight game. Of the 2 teams, I fancy Poland in a draw.
Okay.
Wales have to win.
Have to win.
Have to win. Otherwise,
Who's in
they're
charge
gone.
there?
No, Ryan Giggs. Yeah, they should be too good for Azerbaijan. Paul.
Azerbaijan.
Yeah, that's
Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan. It should be. 3-10 is not the greatest. I think it's even money to win by more than 1.
That's a good
Bale's
bet.
back on form, scoring goals for Real Madrid.
Would Bale come into town?
Yeah, guaranteed. He loves playing for Wales. He's the captain. They've got to get a result.
Okay, excuse me, the next one.
Yeah, Kosovo are the latest nation in Europe that are part of the Euros. Yeah, they're unbeaten in the last 9, but they haven't really played too many of the big guns. The Czech Republic have got a decent players over
they
the
can
years.
play.
But I think a draw that one, Paul, 21-10 for me.
Iceland, Moldova.
Yeah, Iceland, Sigurd, all the sons are back on form, Paul. They should be too good for Moldova. 1-4 looks a certainty.
Lithuania, Ukraine. Ukraine, they've
Lithuania
started well.
struggling. Yeah, that's Andrei Shevchenko. He's there. And the left back, Zinchenko from Man City, he's in that
Yeah,
team.
he
They've
can
got a lot
play.
of good young players in
Yeah.
the Ukraine. They're almost qualified, and I think after this game they will have qualified.
Okie dokie. Let's look at the next one, Budge.
Oh, Serbia, Portugal. Yeah, Steve mentioned they've got Jovic, the German that they signed, Real Madrid signed. They've got Mitrovic. They've got Tadic, the guy who went from Southampton to Ajax.
Yeah.
Good players. The Portuguese are one of those funny nations. They'll be relying on João Felix and Ronaldo up front, try and organise it at the back. But this could have upset written all over it, Paul, even though it's hard to go against Ronaldo.
Yeah.
But anything's possible in that game. I would side the draw would be my first preference in that game.
All right, Armenia, Bosnia.
Should be Bosnia. They've got Zeko and they've got Pjanic. They've got a lot of good players. Armenia at home will obviously be a force. And it's tough to really go with Bosnia, but Bosnia in a draw for me there, Paul.
Okay, Georgia, Denmark.
Yeah, I like Denmark, Paul. They're a good team. Schmeichel, Eriksson, they've got a lot of good players. They were a little bit unlucky in the Nations League and also in the World Cup. They got beat on penalties by Croatia. 6-10 for my play there, Paul.
Okay, Finland, Italy.
Well, Finland's that Timo Pukki up front. And
Is he for Finland?
Yeah, since he's gotten a team, Paul, they've come right. I think they've won 7 of the last 10 games. Italy, a lot of injuries. Read this morning.
Yeah.
That could be another game. Upset written all over it, but a draw looks a big player for me in that game.
Finland and Italy.
Norway.
So
Well, they
we've just
drew
done
3-3 the last times, so I think there'll be goals a game. But I like what I've seen with Sweden, Paul. I think 8-10, good things.
good thing, Sweden. Eh? Who are the ones who's got
The blue and yellow. No, that's the
Iceland.
Ockers. That's Iceland. Yeah.
Iceland? All right, what have we got to talk about
Well,
now?
it's League One, Paul. It's there's no obviously Premiership and there's no Championship. So we've got League One fixtures. It kicks off
Let's
at lunchtime with 2 derbies.
Let's
I
have a
like
look.
MK Dons, like Steve, but they played in the League Cup a few weeks ago and it ended up 2-2. Went to penalties. MK Dons won. The game was at AFC Wimbledon, but there's no love lost between these 2 teams, Paul.
Yeah.
So MK Dons of the 2 teams, but.
Okay.
Draw player there.
Doncaster.
Doncaster and Rotherham. I like Rotherham of the 2 teams. I know they've been struggling to score, but the 2 away games, they've won.
Yeah.
Doncaster, they got promoted last year. Rotherham of the 2 teams, but I think both teams to score looks like the likely way there.
Bristol.
I like Bristol Rovers. Accrington, smallest club in the 4 leagues in England. think only hold a couple of thousand people. And Bumble, the cricket commentator, that's his hometown. I think Bristol Rovers beat good teams.
Yeah.
Good home record. 13-10 for
Coventry?
me. Yeah, I like Coventry as well. But, you know, Blackpool, yeah, since they've got the new owner, they're unbeaten. They've won 3 and drawn 3, even though they've drawn the last 3 games. Coventry in a draw for me there, Paul.
Okie doke, the next one?
Second page, Fleetwood Town. That's Joey Barton. They're unbeaten at 9 at home.
Yeah.
Oxford have reached the 3rd round of the League Cup, so they've done well. But it's a tight pitch. I went there years ago, Fleetwood. The Cod Army, that was Jamie Vardy's team. So I like Fleetwood of the 2 teams. Yeah, Tranmere, Gillingham. I don't fancy Tranmere. I like Gillingham. I know they've both got poor records, but Tranmere have only beaten Bolton. And Bolton had all the youngsters and only had 3 pro players. I like Gillingham to cause the upset, Paul. 18-10.
Did Bolton stay in the league?
Yes.
Did they get bailed?
Yeah, trying to get money and they're back involved. And the last one's a hard game. You know, Lincoln were on last week. When Kevin Moody was down last Wednesday, I met him and we actually watched the game at Crusaders. They got beat 4-2 by Everton, but they really had a go. Wickham have won the last 5 at home, so upset written all over it.
Yeah.
But, you know, been impressed with Lincoln, even though their away form has been a little bit dodgy.
Okie doke, what does that leave?
That leaves the soccer exotics, Paul.
Okay.
Now, sadly, we put this through yesterday at lunchtime before the South African game was postponed. So 1, 2, or 3 is going to
get you to the first one.
I've gone the Czech Republic, win and draw at Kosovo. I've gone Botswana. Can you believe it's a World Cup qualifier already? At win and draw at home against Malawi. I've sided with Americo Mineiro to get a good result at Botafogo SP. I've banked Corinthians to beat Chiera at home, and I've gone Vasco da Gama, win and draw at home against Bahia. Obviously, you bank as South Africa or anyone, and it halves the pool.
1, 2, or 3.
96 rand,
Okay.
The second one is I've banked England to beat Bulgaria. I've gone the field in the Serbia-Portugal game. I've banked France to beat Albania. I've gone New York City, win and draw at home against New England. I've gone Portland Timbers, win and draw at home against Sporting Kansas City. And I've gone the field in the International Sao Paulo game.
A mixture of games here,
yeah,
Budge.
Paul, the guys are limited, so a little bit under pressure this weekend.
Soccer 10.
I've banked England to beat Bulgaria. I've gone Portugal, win and draw at Serbia. I've banked France to beat Albania. I've banked New York City to beat New England. I've gone Fortaleza, win and draw at home against Fluminense. Second page, I've gone Portland Timbers, win and draw at home against Sporting Kansas City. I've gone the field in the International Sao Paulo fixture. I've banked Los Angeles to win at Orlando City. I've gone Palmeiras, win and draw at Goiás. And I've gone the field in the Colorado Rapids Seattle Sounders game, 288. On to our Soccer 13, which has got a couple of
freebies.
Question marks in it. No, it isn't. I've banked England to beat Bulgaria. I've gone the Ukraine to beat Lithuania. I've banked Iceland to beat Moldova. I've gone Portugal, win and draw at Serbia. I've banked Bristol Rovers, win and draw at home against Accrington Stanley. I've gone the field in the Coventry City Blackpool clash. Now, Portsmouth versus Southend is postponed because of international commitments. So the ball split is 12 on Portsmouth, 2 on the draw, and 2 on Southend. It goes into a computer and they have a computer draw. I'm 75%, Paul. I'm going to take the chance. I'm going to bank a Portsmouth. Okay. I know it's not the right way, but you've got to take a chance.
You've got to take
some
the odds.
Now, the next 3 games are also abandoned or postponed. The split with Rochdale Ipswich is there's 3 on Rochdale, 2 on the draw, and 11 on Ipswich. So I'm going Rochdale, the 3 ball. I'm covering 14 of the 16 balls.
Okay.
Likewise, Shrewsbury, Peterborough,
Same thing.
14 of 16. I'm going Shrewsbury, home, Peterborough away, 1 and 3. Sunderland are home to Burton. They've got 12 balls on Sunderland, 2 on the draw, 2 on Burton. So I'm taking a chance. I'm bankering Sunderland. The last 3 games obviously are going to be played. I'm going with Gillingham to get a good result at Tranmere Rovers. Wickham Wanderers, win and draw at home against Lincoln. And I'm going with Fleetwood Town, win and draw at home against Oxford United. 326 rand.
All right, Budge, let's get to the best part of the show.
Yep.
Okay, now
start off with Euro Qualifier 5. I'm going the Germans to beat Netherlands. I'm going Denmark to beat Georgia on Sunday. I'm going Sweden to beat Norway on Sunday. And I'm going Iceland to beat Moldova and Wales to beat Azerbaijan by more than 1 goal, 3,600 to 200. Both teams to score teams are Scotland, Russia, Slovakia, Croatia, Finland, Italy, and Sweden, Norway, 3,800 to 200.
All right.
On to our over 2.5 quartet in the qualifiers. I'm going Slovakia, Croatia, Iceland, Moldova, Serbia, Portugal, and Sweden, Norway, 4,600 to 200. Our English League One treble. I'm going Fleetwood Town to beat Oxford at home. I'm looking for Gillingham to win at Tranmere Rovers, and I'm going Bristol Rovers to beat Accrington Stanley, and over 1.5 total goals. I looked at over 2.5, but just let me rather take the easy because it was like 15 to 10. So I went 1.5, 3,100 to 200. Our League One, both teams to score sides are Bristol Rovers, Accrington Stanley, Coventry versus Blackpool, Doncaster Rotherham, MK Dons AFC Wimbledon, and Wycombe Wanderers Lincoln City, 3,100 to 200. And our Collis King 6 or Nixon. I'm going Bristol Rovers to beat Accrington Stanley. I'm going Denmark to beat Georgia. I'm going Iceland to beat Moldova. Sweden to beat Norway. I'm going the Ukraine to beat Lithuania. And I'm ending up with Corinthians of Brazil to beat Chiera, 3,800 to 200.
Okay, now the best part, the best bet. Your best bet in the day is Bristol Rovers 12 to 10.
Paul, you're limited with a lot of prices.
I like Bristol Rovers.
You know, they should be too good for Accrington. They've got a poor away record. Bristol good at home, Paul. And I saw them 12, 13 to 10. So that's my play, especially the value. I can't take 5 and 6 to 10.
And Gillingham is your value?
Just, Paul, I've looked at the teams they've played. They've played better teams than Tranmere.
Yeah.
And Tranmere only beat Bolton. They beat them 5-0 at home, and Bolton had no players.
Yeah.
So looking for value, 18 to 10. That's my play of the weekend.
Alrighty, there's 27 guys left in this last one standing. Make sure you get your bets into Budge. Every one of us will get to know who's on what. But it misses this week. It goes on
it's
to
next weekend.
Next week.
Paul,
27 guys. Remember, you got a weekend off to do a bit of studying. Until next time, stay on side.